All right, yeah, this will be pretty straightforward here. So this is an oscillator, right? And we're working with threshold levels, right? So you're looking for the RSI to get below the 5 threshold level or above the 95 threshold level, right? And so once the indicator hits that threshold level, then, right, that's your buy and sell signal, or your buy and sell condition there. All right, so let's build this out here real quick. And let's see here. Let's get rid of that comparison solver. And I guess before I get started, let me name this logic template here. All right, RSI 2 period. So we're buying below 5, selling above 95. There. All right, so next, let's add a threshold solver here. We'll connect that up. All right. And next thing is set up the input here. So we need to go to the indicator and we'll replace the SMA with the RSI. And we'll do a little search. There we go, the RSI. Put the 2 period in there. And there you go. So the RSI is already selected for us. So if you wanted to use the average, then of course you would have to select the average, but we'll leave it on the RSI. Click OK. All right, there's the RSI plugged in there. Next, we need to go into the threshold settings here, and that's where we put the 5 and the 95 threshold levels. Here we go. So for a long signal, we're looking for the RSI to not be greater than 5, but right, we want it to be less, either less than or less than and equals to. So, right, so you can figure out, whether you want equals to be included or not. So I think most people do. So I usually just go with that as the default. And then of course a short is going to be, since we changed the condition for the long, then that almost always means that we need to change the condition for the short. So we'll put greater than for short signals, greater than, and we'll put in 95. So there we go. All right, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Click OK, and there is our signals. And so the way David explained this is that he wants to keep scaling into the position every time the RSI is either oversold or overbought, right? So what that translates to is that all of these signals here are kept. So we're not going to modify the output here to only show the first signal, right? So in this instance, if you wanted to keep scaling in short, then you would need, right, all of these short signals there to keep them. So, but now if this is maybe only a buying type of system here, maybe for stocks where you only want to buy a stock or something like that, then we could you'd want to get rid of the short signals there, and you can do that simply by going back to the solver and just use the evaluate there. And we could set this to long only, right? And then the short outputs disappear from us. And so now this would be, a buy only type of systems there for stocks. So, right. But I'm going to leave it on both for now. And let's see here. Let's name this threshold solver. All right. And so I'm going to just add the word entry to the logic template name there. And I added it to, hold on. I added it to the solver. Oops. There we go. Okay. Yeah. All right. There we go. So now our logic template is called entry. And we'll make a simple one here for the exit there. So let's create a new logic template there. And this one, all right, so this will be the exit of comparing the close to the SMA 5. And let's see here. There's a number of ways, well, there's two ways we could do this. We could use the comparison solver and compare the close to the SMA 5, right, to see if the close is above or below. And of course, if we use the comparison solver, then on every bar that the close is above or below, right, we're going to get an exit signal. Or you could create a cleaner signal there by using the crossover there. So let's go with the crossover, and that'll kind of create some cleaner looking signals for humans there. So yeah, Blackbird doesn't care if you're using the comparison or the crossover. You know, a signal is a signal to software. Right? But the crossover does make cleaner looking signals for us humans. Okay, so let's see here. Input A, well, let's actually name this here to figure out what our inputs are going to be. So we're comparing the close to the SMA 5. All right, so input A is going to be the closing price of the bar. So we need to switch the input type to price. And there we go. The close is already the default bar price. And so next we need to go into input B here and switch that over to the SMA 5. So let's open that up. There we go. SMA 14. Adjust that to 5. And there we have it. Now, right, so when the close goes above there, right, we're going to get a long, so that would actually, that long exit signal would exit a short position there. So if the intention is to buy while going down, then my guess is the exit is when price crosses down below, and there we go. So that short signal right there would exit all the buying that occurred down here. So if we wanted to look at that on the chart, all right, so let's look at the entries. All right, so we'll just mark all these there. Right, so there's all the days where the buying would occur, and then we can look at the exits there. And let's see. Oh, yeah. So yeah, one thing to note here is sometimes sometimes if the timing's not right, you know, you can't get information like this transferred to the chart there. So you notice how this says, you know, I did name this exit here, but of course the chart hasn't picked that up, you know, so if that is the case, you know, you just got to do a reload there. And that forces NinjaTrader to update the chart. So there we go. So now we have the entry, now we have the exit there. Yeah. So there we go. So we have the entry bars marked with the green arrows, right? And that short signal coming from an exit, there you go, would close out that long trade there. Yeah. And of course, these signals all have to be plugged into either Raven or Blackbird. So I guess the next question is, David, are you using Raven or Blackbird? Let's see, David's using Blackbird. Okay, all right. So David, yeah, so I don't do Blackbird today. So yeah, if you want to wrap this up in tomorrow's Blackbird workshop there, you can either, right, email your question in, right, so I have a record of it for tomorrow's workshop, or just show up tomorrow and, yeah, just show up tomorrow and ask your question again during the Blackbird workshop tomorrow. Let's see. All right. So before I close out David's question here, I'm gonna make a comment here to one of your statements. because it's different than how you stated it before. So David says, remember, if the next close is less than the first contract price buy, then buy another. So Blackbird doesn't track all the purchase prices. Let's see. Yeah, there's just I guess you could keep track of every single contract, purchase price, put that into a list, an array. But Blackbird doesn't have that level of granularity. That would require a custom code, that where you're deliberately tracking every price that you keep executing another position at. But what Blackbird does have access to is, right, NinjaTrader keeps track of the average purchase price. So Blackbird can, also Blackbird has access to the positions profit or loss. So the way you originally phrased the question was, if you're in a loss, then keep purchasing. So Blackbird can do that. Blackbird can monitor whether the position is still in a loss and keep purchasing, but Blackbird does not keep track of all the individual purchased prices to be able to use that as a condition to evaluate whether it should be buying another one, right? So the way you rephrase that, David, that specifically cannot be done. The way you originally phrased it, by if you're in a loss, keep buying more contracts, Blackbird can do that, right? So, I'm commenting on this to hopefully, emphasize on everybody how details are critical, right? So when you get into, automating, your system in some kind of fashion, details are very, very critical now. Yeah, so you're transferring from just this artistic way of looking at charts to now getting into more detail-oriented, way of expressing, what the trade conditions that you're looking for. Yeah.